Well, hi there, racing fans, and welcome to another edition of Winning Ways, where I've got a very, very long-faced laugh in the seat with me. Not good.
What's not good?
The whole weekend.
Well, it started with the Sharks playing abysmally. Spurs were the usual woeful at home. They should have scored, but they were woeful.
Anything white with white in it was no good.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a good sporting weekend, but I don't think the Man United guys are singing from the roofs.
They're a bit long in the mouth. I saw a lot of them at track this morning.
Yeah.
Looking
well done
good.
to all the Chelsea fans.
Yeah.
Well done to them.
Yeah.
They've won the league.
They played that park the bus football, boring as anything, but they won. So what can you say?
What can you say?
But we're going to have a hell of a show. We've got in your call a very interesting guest, a fellow by the name of Davy Burns.
Who?
Davy Burns.
Okay.
Have you come across Davy
Memory
Burns?
Lane.
Yeah.
Memory Lane with Charles Hawtrey.
Yeah.
We got Davy. I know Davy well.
Davy well. You know Davy well.
Yeah.
Well, Davy Burns is, for those youngsters that don't know who Davy Burns is, he's one of the most successful jockeys that ever came out of our shores. His father was Big Race Joe Burns. We loved him. We loved Davy, and he's got some wonderful stories to tell. So don't miss your call.
Is still Big Race Joe Burns.
Big Race Joe Burns.
He's
still like you can't be an ex-Springbok.
No,
you're a
that's
Springbok,
right.
you're a
You're
Springbok. Yeah. So that's the story. But I think we better get into three to follow before we get too frivolous.
Travers. Flower Alley is the winner.
His dad, Distorted Humor, he's probably one of his best sons at stud.
I'll have another. Wins the Derby. I'll have another in the Preakness.
Lilacs and Lace, 48-1 upset.
He's just a big, strong, leggy horse.
Well, we got three to follow, and before we get into them, you saw one this week. Unfortunately, we didn't have the film. We're going to make it one of the three to follow.
Yeah, that's right. We had a glitch. Michael Lecoq stepped outside called Mujwari. So if you don't see it here, don't think we haven't spotted it. But unfortunately, a glitch in the film. We had to go three others. But
so we've actually got four to follow. Let's start Turfentine Standside Track, Tuesday the 28th of April, race 4, Maiden Fillies. Sean Terry just keeps the machine rolling, and this was another one. Absolutely doddled in, daughter of Dynasty. Watch how this wins.
Yeah, he's stepping them out. This is a horse called Swift Sarah, and Raymond Danielson, who's going through a purple patch, rides it. It's a daughter of Dynasty, and we've seen the Dynasties, especially with the fillies. Guineas run the other day, and this looks a very talented horse. Chris Van Niekerk, the owner. Highlands Farms, the breeders. Up with the speed, James, and halfway through the race, you realise nothing's got much of a chance.
No, there's one leading it on the outside, going quite well, but there's no possible way this is going to get beaten. It's absolutely cantering along next door to them, and quickens up in the manner of a really nice filly. Sean, as we say, has got put together a string of really good racehorses. Him and his brother Mark seem to buy the right ones.
Yeah, here's the horse. And you watch it and you think, well, the horse on the outside is going to give it a bit of a race, but this horse lowers itself and quickens up, and from here on, it puts 6 lengths between itself and the runner-up.
Yeah, Moonlight Mist ends up running second, runs on well for second. The leader...
Winter's Hope second.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, what am I talking about? Winter's Hope second. And that led the whole way through, but this doddled in.
This is a big one to follow. And again, we've seen Dynasty, another decent Dynasty filly come through there.
Right, let's go to the next race, Scottsville. We raced there during the week at 1,200 metres, race 3. Let's go and have a look at this next one of Sean Terry's, because this will win next time out in a common canter. This won't get beaten, in other words.
This horse is from Sean Terry as well. It's called In Other Words. It runs in Chris Van Niekerk's colours. And this was a race at Scottsville the other day where 2 horses were unraced. They found betting support. She's a leader who's very quick. 3 off the left now. Dennis Bosch had got this one ready to roll. And tracking it through is Sean Terry's horse with Bernard Fadov called In Other Words.
Well, you'll see she's a leader, absolutely perfectly prepared by Dennis. Got the pace, balanced up, going beautifully. Anton rode it. He pinched the brake at the right time, put the other one under pressure. That's right here. And the second filly drew away from the rest of them.
Yeah, the third filly is another parish, as they like to say. But here it becomes a race. Bernard Fader at times his run moves up, and a lot of people thought another words would go on, but Arthur had saved a bit on Dennis's filly, and they're both a little green in the race, especially the runner-up. And as James says, I cannot see this getting beat next time out.
She's a lovely filly. She just doesn't really have the confidence to be able to run past the winner. The winner won well, and you've got to compliment Dennis. He's got a small string of horses, but gee, he turns them out. He's had a few this weekend as well that ran fantastically.
He knows how to get them ready.
Yeah, he's a good trainer, Dennis. We move on to Greyville. Now, Laff got eagle eyes, found this one, and let's go and have a look at it. It was race 2, maiden juvenile plate. They go 1,400 meters. Bora Bora. Have a look at this son of Black Minalouche.
Yeah. And this is Nick Johnson's colours. You'll see it's soon out of the race. But the partner to Nick Johnson is none other than the trainer Justin Snaith. So now you know what it's like when he owns horses, how things can go wrong. This horse is completely outpaced. It's second last in the pink cap, being scrubbed along as they go at a good gallop. Completely out of the race, James.
Yeah, I've got no idea what's going on. The raced horses are in front and looked like quite a strong race. There were the two. Gavin Funzel's ended up winning with the other one of his.
Oh, yeah, Rocket Ball.
They went to Clappers.
Yeah, Rocket Ball looks a very nice horse. It beats King's Knight and Celtic Campaign or Celtic Campaign out in front. The captain all with the ears pricked. Captain L. This is a nice horse, the third horse. The winner and the runner-up, a nice horse. But out of your picture, in the pink cap, still second last, is Bora Bora.
Yeah, well, this is why we like to find these ones, because this absolutely had no price of winning this from where it came from. It did run on really well. Here it is on the right-hand side of the picture, the white sleeves. It must be 12 lengths off them at this stage. Celtic Captain's gone for the doctor. Rocket Ball's starting to move up through them. King's Knight runs on well. And you'll suddenly see this horse appearing on the outside of the film, gets beaten 5 and a bit lengths, but must have made up a tremendous amount of ground.
Yeah, another horse in this race that found sport was Jubilee Line, who runs 5th for Sheikh Hamdan, a very nice horse as well. But Bora Bora was going past him up the straight like there was no tomorrow. Keep an eye on this horse, Bora Bora. Maybe a bit further, but should win soon.
I think that was quite a strong juvenile race because the time was much faster than the fillies, nearly 2 seconds faster than the fillies. We'll see some will come out of that. We're going to move on and have a look at the blast from the past. We've got the Golden Horse Sprint. We're coming up to the big Golden Horse Sprint race day at the end of the month. And this was a good winner. Zimbabwean horse, Jeff Woodruff, did the business.
Soft falling rain, pulling clear. Soft falling rains won the SA Nursery by 3.
Racing in the 2,000 guineas. Gates fly and they're racing in the Godolphin Mile.
They're off and racing.
Weight didn't matter. Fast tells, soft falling rain, much too good. Soft falling rain, an impressive guineas winner. Soft falling rain is drawing clear.
He's made it 7 out of 7 by winning here today.
But it's soft falling rain who is powering away. We'll see out the mile in style. A high-class performer wins the Nay of Joel Stakes.
Yeah, they come from the 1,200 meter marker. Not a good beginning for Alvaro. Missed the break 2 lengths. Up the inside, Combat Leader, first one to find his stride. Thunder Keys in the slipstream. GoldCircleRacing. Over to the inside, Centaurs just off the first call. Blue Tiger, Earl of Surrey. Outside of the group, Target Acquired's about 3-4 lengths off them. Archipelago to the stand side, Extinct. Lucky Boy in behind these runners. Then comes Pegasus Emblem. Combat Leaders going the quickest as they come to the 600 meter marker. Centaur. GoldCircleRacing to the inside. Thunder Key. Earl of Surrey's looking for some galloping room. The grey Blue Tiger. Archipelago. Towards the outside, Extinct tries to come forward now as they come to the 300 meter marker. GoldCircleRacing is looking for a split at the rail. He's not going to get it. He's now got to come around Combat Leader. Earl of Surrey's on the prowl and comes home well. Thunder Key looks to run on, but Earl of Surrey comes roaring into the lead. Thunder Key looks to run on, but Earl of Surrey, this is Bullseye, draws away. Second, Thunder Key. Gaultier, Blue Tiger and Combat Leader.
Well, our international friend Johnny Girodis rode it, and Earl of Surrey started his life in Zimbabwe, ended up winning the biggest Grade 1 sprint in South Africa. Very, very nice win. And not much else in the field.
Yeah, you know, if you look through it, unfortunately Charlie led at Warm White Knight, now Giant Scratch, and as you know, Warm White Knight's up to, now Giant was a very good horse, but the rest of the field never really mapped out to be anything really strong. Possibly not the greatest sprint field we saw.
Blue Tiger's at stud.
That's right, he's gone to stud, yeah.
Where he is. But we're going to go and have a look at the Plum of the Week. This was a good one. If you missed this, then you've got your eyes closed firmly.
Guilty as charged, Royal Champion. William of Wembley comes right out for a run as they come to the 300-metre marker. And it's Gurkha Chief. William of Wembley's now going to put in a claim. Guilty as charged down the inside. Down the inside, Royal Champion. Gurkha Chief, the leader. William of Wembley is now coming home powerfully now. William of Wembley's coming home strongly, takes it up and will win. William of Wembley has won it. Second to Gurkha Chief, Guilty as charged, and then Royal Champion.
Well, the owner told me after the race that this horse was going for the drill hall, and Cormac must keep himself available. Not the drill hall, the Daily News. Yeah.
Daily News.
Isn't that right? The Daily News.
Daily News, yeah.
So if you didn't have a bet before, William of Wembley told everyone that would listen to him this was a good thing. We told everyone, you told everyone on the show. 2-1, you could have got 22-10 on Interbet. This was the bet of the century.
It was the plum.
You know.
For people who don't know, William of Wembley is none other than the irrepressible William Lambert, Bill Lambert, who's the ambassador for Gold Circle and a truly top man.
A top man. It was fantastic doing the interview with him, and he's had such fun, you know, to see a guy who's been in racing so long, had so many winners, and have such excitement over this winner was just ridiculous.
No, when you watched him, you thought he'd won the Guineas.
Yeah,
he was really beside himself, but
he told Shaw Cormac, "No riding those snakes horses. You go ride this in the Daily News. That's Daily News horse." So William of Wembley, great winner and great plum of the week, and it was fantastic to see Bill Lambert lighting up Scottsville with his, as Leff says, irrepressible humour and love of this game. Let's go and have a look at the current affairs. We've got quite a lot to talk about there.
Hi, welcome to another edition of Current Affairs. We had some very good racing here. The KZN season, the champion season has started. We had the Fillies Guineas, we had the Colts Guineas, we had the Independent on Saturday Drill Hall Stakes. So wonderful racing overseas. Obviously, we saw Michael de Kock gone over to the Kentucky Derby. What a wonderful move by him. And of course, we've had the 2,000 Guineas run out at Newmarket. So very good racing. And James, good to see the season get off to such a good start.
Oh, it was fabulous racing. The only unfortunate thing was what happened to Legislate was such good camera work by Raymond that he showed afterwards how the horse got his leg caught in the gate, And there's no way he could run. You could
No,
see pull 2 or 3 times. Let's hope he's okay.
It wasn't a big week for the features, you know, with him coming out. I think just about every exacta, quartet, trifecta had the horse in.
Yeah.
And he'll be back. You know, we just don't know the extent, and if we do find out, we will let you know. But let's get on to fillies guineas first. And again, we see Brett Crawford come into 4.
Committed at the 1,000, went on by a length and a tail. Cathy's Pacific races second. Zante is on the right-hand side. Just Lucky, and then comes Alexis. Black and White Silks. Silver Class to the inside, running rail. Inora's got 7 lengths to make up with Trophy Wife. Real Princesses around them. One Fine Day gets a little bit of encouragement. Sensible Lover the trailer. KRA, fillies, guineas, grade 2 at top, where she wants to be, that's in front. Zante is on the right-hand side, corners back in second. Cathy's Pacific waits to the inside, running rail. Alexis is going to come out, then comes Just Lucky. Silver Class going to hunt for a way through towards the inside. Inora now starts to tighten up, 3 to make up. Alexis is running on powerfully. Inora's between runners. Towards the outside, Sensible Lover. Alexis, a top fights right back over the last 100. Sensible Lover's come from nowhere, but Alexis hit the front, and Alexis is powering on home. Alexis not for the catching. Second position, perhaps Inora. Then came a Tob. One Fine Day, Silver Class in minor photos.
Well, there we go. Alexis winning, and that's a daughter of Dynasty. Again showing that Dynasty can throw them any 6. But maybe Yes was Crawford's last winner of this race. He did well to win that. But this one he's done for his mate Lance Sherrill. And Pierre Cornet Orfer, who's getting a chance, is showing them that he's right up there. He's riding brilliantly.
Well, I thought he gave it a cracking good ride. He got the split. He went straight through them on the outside. Inara switched in. Then she had to switch out and end up coming round this filly. And basically that cost her the race. But nice for Connemara stud. You know, the Golikis, they've been around for a long time and breed a nice filly like
they
this.
do. They've just relocated to us. I saw somewhere on Facebook that
some pictures of the new place.
Yeah,
which
the new
is great.
place. We wish her all the best with Connemara stud.
What a way to start your weekend. Move to your new place and the Korean Racing Authority has sponsored this race again. They've been here for many, many years, haven't they?
This horse Alexis has stepped up. I think she's better than I originally thought, James.
I think the second filly was dead unlucky. I think the second filly is the best around, apart from Majmu, probably would murder them all.
Inara has done it. 2 Group 1s before this race, might just need it. But well done to all the connections. I know Lance Sherrill and his gang had to get out of town the next day. They were flying back to Cape Town.
No, they only got in the day of the race as well, because they had an appointment that they missed.
Oh, okay.
Him and Longmore and Crawford all missed their appointment.
It's a hell of a gang. Yeah.
Lucky they missed their appointment. I was going to bury them.
Oh, did you have them rolled up for the pigeon
had them
stakes?
lined up. Anyway, they missed out, the poor fish, and so they only came and took the guineas money. But at least they've got cash. Next week they'll be back.
They'll be back. But let's go and look at the boys' version, the guineas itself, the KRA guineas, and this turned out to be a great success for the conglomerate who's by Lonro, and he's a very good horse. The first 2 home were Australian horses, but the conglomerate has really thrown his hat into the ring with the upcoming features, with the Daily News, with the Vodacom Durban July, wherever they, Joey and Derek and the Eusters decide to run this horse. But I was very impressed, James. This horse got clear of them quickly, showing a good turn of foot, but 11 horses were within 4 lengths.
Yeah.
So the whole pack was there.
I thought Anton Marcus, absolutely brilliant. Watch how he rides this horse. Let's go pick him up at the 600.
11 lengths to make up. Giant and Illuminati behind them. KRA Guineas grade 2 and Riff Raff at a solid gallop. Amazing Strike moves up to his quarters second, 2 lengths away to a waiting King Vault. Ultimate Dollar, the conglomerate's got a perfect run, got about 4 lengths to make up. Heartland at his quarters. Like the Lights will corner with about 5 lengths to make up. Angel, Rampant Eyes, Macdalago further back, Easy Lover. Top of the lane, Riff Raff taken on by Amazing Strike. The Conglomerate and King Vault make their presence felt. Riff Raff's on the inside. The Conglomerate hits the front at the 300. Angel runs on Heartland. King Volts between them. Over towards the inside, Light the Lights. The Conglomerate over the last 200. Angel's running on. Giants come from nowhere. Down the inside, Macdalago. But the Conglomerate's all out for success, and the Conglomerate wins it. Second, Macdalago, Light the Lights, and then came Angel.
Yeah, superb win by the Lonro, and he's got a lot to come. And the runner-up ran a very good race. Keep an eye too on Michael de Cox. He's bringing these two back, Angel and Jayad. They ran good races, but don't detract from the winner. He looks a smart horse.
Oh, well, Joey, as we'll see later, had a very good weekend. Let's go and pick them up for the Independent. We sponsored the Independent on Saturday, sponsored the Drill All Stakes. Always great to have them on course. They had a fantastic day. And this was, as we say, a bit unfortunate with Legislate, but watch the way the winner wins this.
Masters on the extreme right-hand side, passing runners. Tiger, Ashton Park, they're about 7 lengths off them. King of Pain amongst the back rank with Sakaiza. There's about 9 lengths in it. Kelly sets the scene by a length and a half. Boucle Top got up to race in second. Mountain Master Sabadell. Helderberg Blue races in 5th position, 3.5 off them. Night Trip a half a length away. Ice Machine just waiting, got about 5 to make up. Ashton Park in the brown and white silks. Then comes Tiger, King of Pain. Top of the lane, Chakili trying to outsprint them. Boucle Top's right there in the second spot now, about to put on the pressure. Look right, Ice Machine's coming forward in the yellow silks. 200 to go, Chakili, Boucle Top, and here's Ice Machine. Ashton Park's also running on, but Ice Machine now becomes electrified, and this is all over. Ice Machine burns the turf. Boucle Top second, Ashton Park, and then came Chakili. Ice Machine, when Anton Marcus said, let's go win, he said, that's it, all overs.
Yeah, wonderful win. This horse has always had a lot of talent. Hadn't won for a long, long time. So well done to Charlie Laird. He's got this horse moving beautifully again, and quickened up in facile fashion to beat them. James, very good win.
Well, you look back in this horse's form, you'll see he beat King of Pain. That shows how good he is. Yes. And he's had all types of problems, but masterful job by Charlie. They came out and ran second last time out after a long break, and then I thought Anton just perfect again, you know. Good field, but I'm not sure that we're going to see the big grade one winners come out this way. Although this horse,
a lot of them prepping,
has come on a lot. A lot of them are prepping, as you're saying.
Ice Machine's very good.
We're going to go and have a look at Winter Guineas, Techie Town. Our mate Brahm sponsors this one.
And it's a good day. Did you watch it? I watched it over the day. He had some beautiful blonde girl handing out champagne to all the winners.
He's always got the blondes hanging around him, that Brahm.
Yeah, that Brahm. He's punching above his weight, that guy.
Way above his weight.
Have you met his wife? Have you met his wife?
Have
you met his wife?
Yeah, she's a beautiful woman.
No, she's a beautiful woman. So Brahm certainly has a gift of the gab, and he's done a great job here with the Winter Guineas Day, and I watched the whole card. I thought it was very good.
Great card. There were lots of juvenile races and lots of fun had by all. But let's go and have a look at Active War come back to himself.
Towards the inside, we find Seven Oceans racing on the inside of the grey Liquid Mercury. 2 further back in running, we find Alpha Pigasi and Royal Dreamer. Winter Trade and Tombola Bomber are going to whip them in as they flatten for the run to the judge. In the Techie Town, Winter Guineas, an Act of War brings the field for home from Catkin in second. Next we got Sail for Gold. Then comes Seven Oceans. Liquid Mercury, the grey, is coming up the middle. Then comes Royal Dreamer, deeper out Alpha Pigasi, Tombola Bomber, Winter Trade with 300 metres left to go. An Act of War in front is being held together by Anton Marcus. Next we find Sail for Gold under the stick. Royal Dreamer, Liquid Mercury out the back. We're into the final 150. An Act of War is in front. He's finding another gear close to home. An Act of War is bouncing right back to his winning ways. Act of War from start to finish over Sail for Gold, Royal Dreamer, Liquid Mercury.
Yeah, very good comeback by Active War when one considers that to make his own pace from the worst draw. They slowed it down, they sprinted, he gave weight to everything. So he's back on track. Good to see the big horse back. He wasn't chased by the best field in the world, but I was very impressed the way he did it. I spoke to Arthur Marcus about his day, and he said it's just not the right thing sending him to the front, but they discussed it, and they thought this is the way we're going to do it. And he's had this canter and sprint. But he's come back with a win, 7 wins out of 9. It's a great record.
Absolutely. Where's he going from here? What did Anton say?
Listening to Derek talking, if they draw well, they're going to come up for the Rising Sun.
The Rising Sun.
Yeah.
That will be
same race we've earmarked Harry for.
That will be some type of race, the Rising Sun. There are a couple of others that look like they're going to be going.
The Futurers
will be going Futurers, and
it'll be a great race.
There'll be a lot of good horses there. That's going to be great fun. Let's go and have a look at England. They ran the 2,000 guineas on Saturday, and another triumph for the O'Brien team. Let's go and pick them up at the start.
A race away then for the Kipco 2,000 guineas as they begin their journey. Home of the Brave is one of the first to show as they split to 2 groups. Cool Company on the left leads up there to Ested Car. Ivorwood, Ride Like the Wind, Room Key is with that group as well. On the right, Home of the Brave leads there to Interlark, and then comes Glen Ormond. Dutch Connectionist in behind those. Glen Eagles is towards the right-hand group in the blue and orange jacket. Mojitas towards the rear of that group. The group on the left, but Old Man Rivers just about at the back there. Code Red and Celestial Path are well back in that group as they head down towards halfway. Cool Company then on the left leading up to Ested Car in the blue and white. Ivorwood and Room Key with those, and Ride Like the Wind is next. On the right it is Home of the Brave on the running rail to Glen Ormond, and then Dutch Connection going smoothly in third position. Interlark, Glen Eagles and Capella San Severo. The next group of runners, Territories, is off towards the right as well in the blue jacket as they head down past the bushes now, and it's Home of the Brave leading. Glen Eagles and Dutch Connection begin their challenges. Ested Car is there. Interlac, Ivorwood towards the left as well with their challenge, and Glen Eagles now. Ryan Moore and Glen Eagles come towards the stand side. Territories is out after him. Ivorwood down the centre of the course. Glen Eagles to Ivorwood in second place. Bossy Guest running a huge race. Glen Eagles in front. Territories trying to reel him in. Glen Eagles though, and Ryan Moore have won. Territories second. Ivorwood in third. A great run from Bossy Guest home in fourth, and then came Celestial Path.
Well, there we go. Glen Eagles, the next big name on the scene for Aidan O'Brien. Galileo, and it's out of a Stormcat mare. What more could you ask for, James? This has got pedigree written all over it.
Yeah, it's got a lovely name, and he's obviously a very, very good horse. But Ryan Moore gave him a peach, but then Ryan Moore won the 1,000 guineas on Sunday as well.
Yeah, legitissimo. You know, again, just a Danehill dancer out of a Monsieur mare. Yeah. And David Watchman, the trainer, not O'Brien.
Yeah, he's the other trainer in Ireland, David Watchman.
Okay.
He trains for that team as well. But then we got to go to the Kentucky Derby and go and have a look at our runner. We called him our runner, and I thought he ran a cracking good race. A couple of things I questioned. Why was he not on Lasix? Mike didn't give him Lasix. Everything else races on Lasix, and I'm sure that makes a difference, otherwise they wouldn't use it.
Well, it stops the bleeding. I know peripheral blood pressure, but you know, not every winner is on Lasix.
Yeah.
You're allowed to race on it.
In America race on Lasix.
But Mark would have considered. I'm so pleased that Mark went over. I'm so pleased he's opening more doors for us. He's outstanding what he's doing for this country, Michael de Kock. Congratulations to him and his team, his owner, and of course Christophe Soumillon.
And watch how this horse gets taken out at the first bend. He was at a lovely position. Next thing, he's further back than he wants to be. He has to get on the rail. You don't really want to be on the rail. But the first 3 in the straight ran first, second, and third. Let's go pick him up at the start.
In the Kentucky Derby, an American Pharaoh got away very well from that outside post. Dortmund did too. Toward the inside, there's Carpe Diem up close. Danzig Moon showing speed too. Firing line on the outside. In the shadow of the Twin Spires, the Derby field races for the clubhouse turn, and Dortmund is in front. Firing line on the outside is racing in second, and American Pharaoh's on the outside in third. Carpe Diem is running in fourth. Bolo comes on to be fifth. Danzig Moon pulled back in behind. Horses running in sixth. Then it's Mr. Z from 7th, Ocho, 8th and on the inside. 10 Senders running in 9th, Upstart 3 wide in 10th. Moop to Hidge settles in toward the rail from 11th. It's a Knockout is running in 12th. Materiality is 13th. Frosted is 14th. War Story is 15th by 3. And then it's Fermento running third to last with Keen Ice, and the late running far right is the last of them all. down the backstretch at Churchill Downs. The first half mile was just 47 at 1/5 seconds to the long-legged Dortmund. With 5 furlongs to go, pressed along by Firing Line. They're a half a length apart with just outside of a half mile to go. A break of 2 lengths back. American Pharaoh is 3 wide, racing third to the far turn run. Carpe Diem is running along in 4th. Danzig Moon is now 5th. Ocho putting in a bid 6th and toward the inside. And then it's Bolo running in 7th. Moop to Hitch coming under pressure from 8th. Mr. Z, it's a knockout. Frosted is starting to warm up, but he's going very wide as the field rounds the far turn. And Firing Line's in front. But American Pharaoh is looming up on the far outside. And Dortmund is digging down toward the rail. And these 3 are off the turn together. Dortmund cut the corner. American Pharaoh went wide. And Firing Line is firing between those 2. Heading to the final furlong of the Kentucky Derby. American Pharaoh on the outside. Firing Line hanging tough from the back of the pack. It's Frosted. Dortmund down toward the rail. 16th to go. And American Pharaoh and Firing Line. And it's American Pharaoh pulling away late. American Pharaoh rules the Derby. Firing Line, Dortmund, and Frosted were 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Well, American Pharaoh, we'd spoken about it, and I thoroughly enjoyed listening to Molly and Robin Bruss. They
were fantastic. Wasn't it a great coverage?
Yeah.
That's how coverage should be for racing.
Robin knew his pedigrees, and Molly and them, they went with it. I thoroughly enjoyed a great presentation by both of them, and I thoroughly enjoyed the Americans' preview of it as well. I thought a very good run by Michael de Kock's horse. At one stage, it had 5-6 behind it. It beats 10 home, and he runs a very good race. The winner, American Pharaoh, Bob Baffert again, striking to his best. But funny enough, the third horse is Dortmund, is by Big Brown, who had won the race before. And this horse is by Pioneer of the Mile.
Pioneer of the Nile.
I don't notice by Empire Maker. I don't know those.
Empire Maker is a proper American pedigree. And Robin Bruss was talking about the pedigree. Very interesting. It's one of those pedigrees that really he thinks will make it at stud. He says he's got all the right nicks to make it at stud, this horse. And Robin's an expert. If he says that, we go listen
just sticking a moment with our friend Christophe Soumillon, who rode it. 16 hours later, he was winning the Prix de Ganay on a 9-year-old, winning a Group 1. Cirrus d'Aigle. Cirrus d'Aigle, or Cirrus d'Aigle, or however they say it. 9 years old, the gelding. Christophe Soumillon, a great ride in another country.
Just a quick question to you before we wrap up. Michael Owen, apparently there was a lot of aggravation with whip rule in England.
This is very interesting, James, and it's going to rear its ugly head. Well spotted. What happened was he had a horse called Crawley's Law. I think it was Crawley's Law. Ran at Goodwood and was beaten in a desperate finish by a horse called Don't Be, who's trained by Sir Mark Prescott. Chris Catlin rode the winner, and he was hauled in immediately for excessive use of the whip, for breaking all the rules. He got 1 week and 300 fine. Sir Mark Prescott's a great advocate of judicious whip use. So, Michael
what did Prescott say?
Prescott
you can have the race.
Prescott didn't say a word, but Michael Owen said, why is it when a trainer, an owner, and a team play by the rules, they get beaten a short head, they don't get the first stake, the horse who has broken the rules because the jockey's been taken in and given a week and 300 pounds, why is it something else hasn't done it? And is it going to creep into our game at a later stage? Then people will say, hang on, we're taking the horse down because he was abused. Could that happen?
Well, Michael Owen's an interesting person to talk about it, because I've seen him dive around a football pitch, when he wasn't touched, and he's breaking the rules too.
He got a yellow card.
No, he never got in his day. They never gave a yellow card for simulation. Today they might do. But James, those guys dive all over the place. They break the rules. He broke the rules 20 times a game.
James, the bottom line is here. What happens? It happens.
And they never gave the goals away that he scored penalties.
What happens
from.
If we have a Group 1 here, and they break the riding rules, and a horse is thrashed? God forbid it doesn't happen, but it's thrashed. And the runner-up, the owner said, this horse has broken the rules, he's been thrashed, we played by the rules, we want first stake. What would happen then? It's an interesting question. Well, if you've got rules governing how you treat a horse, and if you abuse a horse, what would happen if they found a horse had used a buzzer, a jockey had used a buzzer? He'd be taken down.
Yeah.
If they found he'd sneak spurs on, he'd be taken down. He'd be
sneak spurs on.
Yeah.
We lost Davy Burns.
We lost Davy Burns about the Spurs. We lost Davy Burns. Only Spurs I know are losers. But Davy Burns will know about the Spurs. But it's an interesting question, James.
Yeah, very interesting question. Is one that I can't answer
for.
But I do think that Michael Owen's a prize one to speak about it. Ex-professional footballers, my goodness, they break the rules every time they walk on a football pitch. and they get no fine at all.
But
so
James, people are listening to us, and we've got to check it past, you and I.
Check it future too. Let's call it a day. That's about it.
That's
Able
it.
Friend won in Hong Kong again.
You know, James,
fantastic.
massive money, 6 was field or something, 3 of his stable mates. He's got to go to Ascot, Able Friend. He's a Shamadol, who's the best horse in that part of the world.
Well, let's hope that we've got some South Africans going to Ascot. Let's go and chat to Davy Burns.
He responds and Our Giant roars away. He's going to take the glory. Our Giant taking no prisoners by 4. Let's hear it for Our Giant, Anton Marcus and Charles Lee.
Well, we always try and get interesting people on the show in your call, and if ever a man was born to be a jockey, the man sitting next door to me, Dave Burns, was born to be a jockey. His father, Big Race Joe Burns. He was a great rider, Davey.
Absolutely. I rate him as in...
Look, you're his son, so you can rate him how you like, okay?
But I have to be truthful.
Okay.
In my time, I got to ride with Shoemaker, with Cordero, with Lafitte Pincard, and I rate my father up there. I think South Africa actually had 50 years of good riders, not just good horsemen, but great riders come out of that era. Tiger Wright, Veltman, all of them.
You obviously were groomed to be a jockey from the day you were born. Your dad wanted you to be a jockey?
No, my dad didn't. I wanted to. So
like your son wants to be a jockey.
Like Daniel, yes. So he bought this mare. It was just a riding mare. And he said, she's going to have a foal. You want to ride? You're going to have to break this foal in and do everything yourself. That'll teach you to ride. And that's how I learned to ride.
And then what happened with the academy? Because the academy was in Pinetime when you started, wasn't it?
When I first started riding on the track in the morning time, they still had the stables at Montclair. And we used to walk the horses back in the 60s. We used to walk them through from Montclair down to Clairwood. In those years, it was Les Hammond and
Claudie Allen,
Mr. Coetzee. They had moved from Joburg. They were here.
Yeah.
And then when I was in Johannesburg, my dad used to ride for the season. I used to ride for Max Courtney, Uncle George Azzy.
I remember your dad winning the summer handicap.
6 times, I think.
Big Race Joe Burns, they called him. He had one leg that always used to push quicker than the other leg, wasn't it?
Yes, I think that came from the days when they used to use spurs.
Yeah.
A lot of those riders in those years, spurs was a big advantage to a horse.
Okay, so then you started out there. You went to the academy.
Yes, I went to academy.
And who was in your group? Who did you have around at that time?
There was Stephen Jupp. It was Gary Verne. Mace was there. It was his last year.
Yeah.
Also good riders. Brian Dees was still an apprentice. David Payne had just finished. He had just started to train. I was actually apprenticed to David.
Well, interesting enough, we're going to put up the picture of your first winner. Here it is. And
that's Iceberg.
Pull it in. This is Iceberg. We'll get it now. There it is. Iceberg. Dave Burns up. I'm just going to lift it up a little bit. Owned by Musgrove. Davy Burns. David Payne trained it.
Yes, sir.
How was that day, your first winner?
It was beautiful. It was very good. My first 2 rides were for my former boss, Mr. Laird, Sid Laird.
Yeah.
And then David bought my contract. In those years, we were indentured to a trainer.
And who were you indentured to at that time?
In the beginning with Sid Laird.
Yeah.
And then David wanted me, so he took me over.
And did your dad ride for David at any stage?
On and off, absolutely.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
Absolutely. No, we both rode a lot of winners for David.
So In Full Flight must have been about that era.
In Full Flight was just prior to that.
Yeah.
He had just died
Yeah.
when I started.
Okay.
He had just died. We got a lot of horses from all of those horses there, Mr. Musgrove, and they all came from Mr. Furness.
Yes.
We got about 15 of them. There were many of them, Kiki Bar. There were quite a lot. And that's, a lot of them just kept winning. All of them. David's stable was extremely powerful.
And who was the first rider for David at that stage? Because I know Raymond rode In Full Flight.
Yes, Raymond was.
Yeah.
And then I became the first rider. Yeah, I rode everything.
And obviously one of your biggest wins in South Africa, because your career was South Africa based until when?
Yeah, until 1979, the end of 79, I went to America.
Well, let's talk about South Africa first, and this is a big book and it's got some fantastic stuff in here. But this is a big day, this day here. I'm sure we can get it on camera. Let's pick it up. There we go. The Rock Group SA Guineas. Now, you know the Rock Group SA Guineas is South African Guineas. It's a Group 1. I'll just lift that up a little bit. Oh, well, I'll read it out to you because it's all here.
Yeah, this is World News.
World News. Herman Brown.
Mr. Brown, yes.
Senior.
Yes.
And Mrs. Liley owned it.
And
John
Mr.
and Mary Liley owned
Yes.
it.
Mr. Liley was still alive then.
Yeah, I can see the two of them leading the horse.
Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely, that must have been big for you.
It was very big because we beat some very good horses. At that time, I think he was drawn 16 out of 16.
Yeah. And you ended up on the inside fence.
Right in the fence.
How do you get there?
Broke him out, put him straight to the front, and just kept him there. And he accelerated. I gave him his breather and controlled the pace, and we beat some decent horses.
Well, some tonic, I see there was some really good
and
horses.
over the air.
Over the air, yeah, some really good
They
horses.
all came back in July and ran terrific races. Yeah.
And okay, so South Africa, you seem to be cruising. You're going along well. You're riding
I was
Guineas
riding
winners,
for,
Group 1 winners.
Yeah, I was riding for David. I was riding for Mr. Ryan, Terry Ryan, Uncle Joe Joseph. I was riding for Mr. Laird. I had powerful stables here. But I was looking for something different. I wouldn't say something different. Mr. Pretty, Raymond Pretty, came from California. He came here to visit Mr. Cooper.
Basil.
Basil Cooper. And they were having lunch here. And Mr. Pretty watched me ride, and he said to Mr. Cooper, "Can you please ask Dave to come and talk to us?" He said to me, "Would you be interested in riding California?" I said, "Absolutely."
So that's how it came about.
That's how it came
And
about.
who was Pretty? Who?
Raymond Pretty. He owned a good horse by Hawaii, actually, as a matter of fact, called Kamehameha. He won the Cinema Handicap twice. He was sold for a lot of money as a stallion. He was a decent, I would say, decent miler.
You can't just up and go to America. I know you've got saddles and jockeys can just go wherever they like. You can't arrive there. They've got jockeys there already.
Well,
they've got work laws, permits, all those.
Shoemaker, and I've always wanted to put myself against the best in the world.
Yeah.
Because I'm not afraid of anybody.
Yeah.
You have to beat me to win a race. I'm not afraid of anybody.
Okay, so California is the best racing in the world.
California is the toughest in the world, so I went there. Because that is the toughest racing in the world.
You just arrived with a suitcase?
Just arrived there, and I stepped into Jockstrom. Now, fortunately, I knew Mr. Toro, Fernando Toro.
Yeah.
He had been riding here in the Bull Brand International on a few occasions, and I used to do his kit prior to me riding, prior to me racing. Because I did my father's kit all through my growing up years, wherever I went, any Jockstrom. So I knew the likes of David King, and I was familiar. I'm going back to Shorty De La Rey. I knew them. I grew up in the Jockstrom.
Cocky Feldman.
All of them.
All the
Every
best riders
single
around.
one. And of course you get teased and you get kicked around and bullied, but you love it because these are all your heroes.
Must have known John White, Doug White's father.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
And Duncan House's father.
Yeah. Shorty De La Rey.
Shorty.
There were some riders
Benny
in
Little,
those days,
Raymond
weren't there?
Rhodes, every single.
Dan Corkett's father, Johnny
everybody,
Corkett.
Everybody.
Yeah.
So you get to meet these people and you get to appreciate the stories they can tell, really.
You meet Lester Piggott when he came out for the Bull Brand?
There's a picture of me on Psychologist beating Lester Pickett at Maritzburg in the International Day. I beat him. He was on the favourite. I rode a horse for Terry Ryan called Psychologist.
He was a good sprinter, wasn't he?
Very good, yeah.
Oh. Okay, so you arrive in California. Suitcase in one hand, saddles in the other hand. You arrive at Santa Anita. Is that where you based yourself?
Yes. Santa Anita.
Okay.
Yeah.
And would you walk up to D. Wayne Lucas and say, I'm Dave Burns from South Africa?
Actually, Mr. Pretty put me on. No, Mr. Pretty's nephew, Bill Walters, he was friends with Trevor Denman and Eric Denman at that time. Well, we all got involved together, and he put me on a filly. It was my third ride there. My first two rides were for Mr. Pretty. They both ran nowhere. And I looked at the films, and there was a guy standing next to me, a guy called Eddie Delahousse. He said, Dave, Mr. Toro told me to take care of you. He said, you're a good guy and you're a good jockey. He said, I want to teach you something. Come with me. We're going to Los Alamitos. I said, where's that and what is it? He said, it's a quarter horse track.
Quarter horses, yeah.
And he took me there. He put me on two horses. I watched the first few races, and then he showed me how to tie yourself into an actual horse. You have to tie the mane into the horse. And you've got to sit shorter. And you've got to pull yourself up. As the horses anticipate the break. Their noses actually go into the V of the pens. And they feel electricity coming through prior to the gates opening. And that's how quarter horse racing, that's how they taught. So if you're not tied in there, you're out the back door.
That's how quick they are.
That's how quick they are, because they are built for speed.
So Eddie Delahousse, who's one of the most famous jockeys in America, takes you under the wing.
Took me and he said, I will teach you.
How's this for a journey?
So the first one, I ran second. The second race, I won these quarter horses.
And you've got to be balanced, haven't you?
Very. It's so quick. Honestly, James, you look at a 5 furlong race here and you think that was quick. 56 seconds or 57 seconds, you think that was quick. You want to be on a quarter horse. They are just built muscle cars.
41, 42 seconds.
They are just gone.
From a standing start.
They'll go 17 to 18 seconds a furlong. They just flat out muscle. Their chests are like monsters. They're short and squat.
So what was Delahousse trying to teach you to get out the pens quickly?
Yes, because in South Africa we just drop our hands because we're always long distance and the horses must be relaxed. In America, a lot of these races are shortened. The long race there is a mile and 16th, which is 1,700 meters. And as you know, the Kentucky Derby for 3-year-olds is the first time that they'll ever see that distance.
We're going to just take a break because this is fascinating. We're going to have a look at our Magic Millions graduates. We've got 4 of them. 8 stories. Wiley Hall, well, you know what he did. He won the big one. Amber Orchid and Goldie Coast. They all won last week. Those are the Magic Millions graduates. If you want to go to the sale, it's at the end of this month. 22nd it starts of May. Get hold of Paul Lafferty. He's the man in charge. Eddie's now taking you to Los Alamitos. You won a race of the quarter horses. Did you not consider going and becoming a quarter horse jockey?
Not really. My preference was at the time with thoroughbreds because of Mr. Pretty, and that I was obligated to. He was almost like a father to me. He was so kind and generous, and he really took care of me. So I stayed with his stable, and for about a year, we did very well. Then I met a guy called Roy Wall.
Yeah, well, we know Roy. Roy Wall. But he was training on the East Coast. You're now on the West Coast, wasn't he?
No, at that point in time, Roy was working for a man called Brian Maybury. And I was riding for Brian. I'd ridden a few winners for him. And I got to meet Roy. At that time, he was working with the horses in the stable. And I said to him, why don't you start training? He said, he will, because I saw he's very good with horses' legs and good caretaker was. And he actually helped Brian a lot in the stable to win races that shouldn't have been won. So anyway, he met this guy called Barry Gordy, Bruce McNall, Nelson Bunker Hunt, had a syndicate called Sumer Stable. If you know Barry Gordy, he owned Motown Records.
Yeah.
Nelson Bunker Hunt was the character that...
He was a silver man, yeah.
Was the richest man in the world at the time. He cornered the silver market, got in all kinds of trouble, but... And Barry Gordy, he owned Motown. And these guys
the
were...
other guy, Bruce
McNoll.
Yeah.
He started collecting coins when he was a youngster. And he sold the one coin for $33 million when he was 22 years old. So
but he became very good friends with Roy.
we all became good friends, yes. I wasn't too fond of Nelson Bunker Hunt. I thought he was rude. But the other boys, I liked them.
Yeah.
I got along well with them.
So you're now going to start up, you're going to be the stable rider for Roy War.
Yes.
And these guys are going to back him.
Yeah.
In
So
California.
now we had 10 maidens in San Francisco. Our first horse was a horse called No Picnic. So anyway, I said, Roy, I think we take these horses out of here and we go to the East Coast. He said, why? I said, number one, there's a lot more racing there. The tracks are very closely situated together and the tracks are deeper. It's a lot more forgiving for horses. Because the horses that we did get, they're all maidens, but they're all been abused. I mean, used hard. And these horses were shoulder sore and their knees were giving them problems. I said, let's take these horses. We got the opportunity now to a more forgiving area. A lot more rain on the East Coast. So we took them to Delaware. And I think we started that season, we started 27 horses with 21 winners.
God gracious.
And one horse ran unplaced. And he had some kind of bone disease. One horse. And we won many group races with those 10 horses that we started with.
And they were basically chuckouts from other people, from
they
the
were
bigger
throwouts
trainers.
that they'd collected and given them to us.
Okay, so now you're on the East Coast. You moved now, you're no more California.
Yeah, I moved to New York.
You're now in New York. You're racing what, Belmont, Aqueduct?
All of them. Aqueduct, Belmont, Saratoga, Delaware, Philadelphia. In Baltimore, you got Maryland, you got Laurel, Bowie, Pimlico. All those tracks. And then finally in Kentucky and then Miami, Gulfstream.
So you've ridden on basically all the tracks in America?
I've ridden on 98% of them now.
And you were very successful there?
Very successful.
What made you come back here?
I'm sure God has either a sense of humor or...
sense of humor.
Or he just likes to mess with me. Because...
how do you get a work permit in America? That's what I'd like to know.
That was actually a loophole in the system that I saw coming from, well, growing up with people like yourself and guys that there are no flies on.
Like the jockey room, maybe.
Yes, like the jockey room.
Don't include me, I'm not a jockey.
I approached the legal channels and I went straight to Naturally, and they said, well, we need to see your work permit. I said, I have that at home. Sorry, I just forgot that. They said, right, we give you a temporary license so you can get in and out the gate.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they won't even let you in and out the gate.
Yeah.
So you can write some work. I said, thank you, sir. They said, but you're not allowed to ride yet. I said, fine. So I go. Now, I had money with me. I'd made quite a bit of money in Mauritius prior to me coming here. And I had dollars. They couldn't pay me in rand there in Mauritius, so they paid me in dollars. So I had money.
But you've got to have a social security card.
That's how I got it. This is the loophole.
Okay.
This is how it was. So I walked into the bank, they wouldn't accept my money.
No.
I said, but I cannot walk around with X amount of thousands of dollars on me. They said, you need a social security card. I said, well, give me one. They said, all right, here's a temporary one. You'll get yours in a day. They're just going to print it and they'll send it straight to you. Give me your address. I put the money in the bank. I got my card. I went straight back to the racetrack the next day. As soon as I got the card with the 2 days, or gave to them, I said, there, everything, I signed the papers. I said, it's all in order, sir. Everything's right. I had my picture taken back in the office. I knew the guy, I made friends with him. Yeah. And before you knew it, I was riding.
And now what happens with insurances and all those
No,
things?
that all fell into place.
Yeah.
Everything was legal.
Yeah.
Because now I had a social security number and I went straight away and I got driver's license for California. I went across the border into Nevada. I got another driver's license.
Yeah.
I got. I made sure I was covered.
You got everything.
I made sure.
East Coast, fired. Fantastic.
Perfect.
Everything went accordingly. Suddenly you find yourself back in South Africa. So God has a sense of humor.
Yeah. Well, how that happened is my sister called me and she said, listen, your mom's very ill. Please, she's been in hospital. So now I've been wondering, every week I call her and I can't get hold of her. She's at the shop or she's been telling stories to me. I said, all right, I'll come home. I'd been injured in Baltimore, so I'd been off for, I'd just come back actually. I'd been off for a year, but I was in hospital for 9 months.
Yeah.
I'd smashed my knee and shattered it and did other things, and anyway, they replaced that. Same operation that Gary Stevens has had, but this was 30 years ago. In other words, it was mine, it was experimental. Now they perfected it. I don't know if you heard him speak about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. In those years, it was a new thing. Not even football players had it done at the time. I took a chance, and I got it done, and it worked. First 2 horses I rode back, I rode at Gulfstream Park. I hadn't been on a horse in close to a year. I promise you, not on a horse. I walked onto the track with a friend of mine, Larry Sommel.
Yeah.
Good rider. His dad used to ride too prior to that. His dad was Cuban when they used to race in Cuba. Anyway, he had moved to, cut a long story short, Larry introduced me to his uncle in Gulfstream. The guy said, just the man I'm looking for. We've heard about you. I've got you on 2 horses. You want to ride them tomorrow? No, I haven't ridden in a year. I haven't been on a horse.
You haven't been on a horse.
I haven't been riding.
So you ride these 2 horses. Who's the uncle?
Also Sommel.
Yeah.
It was Larry's uncle, Larry Sommel's uncle. So I look at the form, straight away I go and buy racing. I had no intention of riding. I needed at least 3 weeks of riding work to get fit. Lucky I'm not a fat type of person, I don't get fat. But I needed to get fit. So the one's a mile and 16th, my first one.
You must have been blown.
And I see this is a scrubber.
Yeah.
He's got no pace, but he's got a bit of a finish. All right, I'm brave, I'm going to do it. Nothing stops me. So it's 30 to 1. I pushed him from start to finish, I won by short head. I couldn't breathe, my boy. No matter how strong you think you are,
Yeah.
I couldn't breathe. Lucky my next ride was in the 8th race, because I slept from after the 1st until the 6th. My valet came and woke me up. He said, boy, you got a ride soon, go shower. I couldn't walk. And the other was one.
Yeah.
Also a long shot about
The first 2 back 1.
First 2 back.
Now you're the king of Gulfstream.
But I couldn't stay there. My program was back in Baltimore. It was now coming springtime. Most of the big trainers go from New York when it's snowing, and they go down to Miami, where it's warmer for the winter.
How did you get back to SA? Because I want to talk about you getting back to SA.
Oh, okay.
About
Anyway,
your filming career.
My mother got sick, and so I said, all right, I'll come. She said, you've never been back here. My dad told me. He said, you've never been back here in 12 years. You better. Please, just come see your mom. We don't know if she's going to last. So she came back. I came back, and that's why I said I think God's got a sense of humor or something. Because I'm back here. I was only meant to be here 3 months. And then I was contracted again to carry on with what I was doing in New York. I meet a lady, Dennis Bosch's sister, Barbara.
Yeah.
Now, I knew her from a little thing
when
I used to ride with Dennis. And I fell in love with her.
That's how you stayed.
And that was the end of
Okay, let's. Barbara's a star. She's been a good mother.
She's a
now,
champion.
I want to show this picture because we haven't got much time, but this you've got to see. Okay, this is the Derby. It's not the Derby actually, and it's you jumping over the fence. You're actually not falling off this horse. You're jumping over the fence.
That was
it's a wonderful story.
I
Tell
did
us
something
about
that
it.
I've been taught not to do. We taught to stay on horse.
That's a Clearwood, okay?
Clearwood, yes. And so I was doing the stunts for that movie.
For what movie was it?
Called the Derby.
Called the Derby, okay.
We shot it here at Clearwood, Summerfeld, and on Mickey Goss's farm in the Midlands.
Yeah.
Anyway, he said to me, he was a trainer of a fine horseman. I have to, as much as a lot of South Africans don't like Australians, let me tell you, one of the finest horsemen I've come across is a man called Heath Harris.
Yeah.
Excellent top horseman. He said to me, Davey, we'll pay you extra, but it's got to be done, and today.
Because it was getting dark.
It was getting dark. And I said,
and you had to jump at a certain place to land on the mattresses or whatever.
Correct. But this particular, we had shot all day with 20 other horses or 19 horses, you know, doing race scenes and things like that. All the other horses were now free to go home.
Oh.
So they walk out the chute and they go home. Now this horse wants to go home too. At 6 o'clock, he wants to go home. So every time I was galloping the horse up to the rail to do my thing, he wanted to go out the... So I said to Heath, listen, I'll get him as close as I can to wherever I can, but I'm going to have to hit the Card Road. There's no other option I got. He says, we'll pay you. Just get the seat in one take.
And that's what happened.
Did it one
you
take,
dived over the rail.
That's it.
Okay. Before we finish, I got to read you this because Davy Burns met, who was it, Lucas or one of them?
No, I knew all of them.
Whittingham told you.
But Charlie Whittingham.
Charlie Whittingham
the
told
Bald
you.
Eagle, yeah.
This is an article that is written May 8th, 1936. We're going to finish with this. And it's a bit of I'll go read it to you. Dead jockey rides to victory. Today, in old history, Ralph Neve's life was tragically cut short at Bay Meadows Racecourse near San Francisco, California. The 19-year-old jockey was coming into the final stretch of the third race of the day when the horse Franklin's tripped. She and her rider crashed through the wooden fence. Franikins was unharmed, but Neves, who had only broken his mount's fall, but had also been trampled by 4 other horses, was dead. Okay? Davey knows all about this. He knows this guy. The track physician, assisted by 2 doctors, had come down from the stands, and when they saw Neves fall, loaded the body into an ambulance, and the race announcer called for a moment of silence, but the shocked, grieving spectators had underestimated Neves. Doctors at the hospital did everything they could to revive Neves, but to no avail. By the time his friend, Dr. Horace Stevens, arrived, he had already been toe-tagged and sent to the morgue. Stevens, though, was not quite ready to give up. He administered a shot of adrenaline directly into Neves' heart. It had no effect. Sadly, he replaced the white sheet that covered the friend's lifeless body and left him there. Had he waited just a few more minutes, he would have witnessed a miracle. The dead jockey, bloodied, shrouded in a morgue sheet and wearing a single boot, he tagged out of the hospital and held a cab. He staggered out the hospital and held a cab to take him back to the racetrack. This guy came back from the dead. Pandemonium broke out as Neves sprinted past the grandstand at Bay Meadows, half-dressed and still trailing his toe tag. At one point, he said later, I think everyone on the damn track was chasing me. He fought his way through the crowd, burst into the jockey room where his colleagues were conducting a collection for his widow. She fainted at the sight of her newly resurrected husband, standing in the doorway, demanding to be allowed to ride. He insisted that he didn't feel dead, but that the steward still refused to let him complete the game that day. The following day, though, he rode 5 winners and claimed the meet's top prize, a 500 Rand watch donated by Bing Crosby. Neves' dramatic recovery was typical of the Portuguese Pepper Pot, a man whom fellow jockey Charlie Whittingham once described as wilder than a perch orchard ball. Neves rode for 28 more years, racking up nearly 4,000 wins and more than 25,000 horses. He is inducted into the Hall of Fame in America. Now, Charlie Whittingham told you about this guy.
Yes, now Charlie's as big as you.
Yeah.
And he's telling me he was a jockey. I'm thinking, another racetrack story. So anyway, when I was riding up in Northern California, I met Gary Stevens.
Yeah.
And I said to him, Gary Stevens, have you ever heard of Ralph Neves? And he said, I know somebody who does. He introduced me to another young fellow called Kenny Toehill. You know, Kenny Toehill was just come out of his apprenticeship and he was doing fairly well in that part of Northern California. He said, I know Mr. Neves, I know him, he's still alive. So I said, please, I'd like to meet this. I'd love to meet this man, and he did. He took me. He was in a home in San Francisco, and I went and had coffee with the man, and got to meet him.
Fantastic.
And I told him where I'd heard the story from. He said, him and Charlie are still friends. Yeah.
That's the most wonderful story. I've got to end up with that, Davey. We know you're enjoying your life. You're happy and settled with a lovely child, going to be a jockey as well. The third generation of the Burnses. We can't wait to see them on the race course.
Daniel, yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much.
Davy Burns, one of the true legends of South African racing, and it's wonderful to be able to bring his story, albeit a short story, to winning ways. Thanks so much for joining us. We hope you have a great week's racing. Enjoy the rest of it.
Second position by Military Roses, giving them a bath. That's one of the biggest millions I've ever seen. Grace Valana, the leader. Grace Valana. Grace Valana.
They call it the Sport of Kings, a contest where speed, ambition, skill and passion come together to deliver a thrilling display of pace and power. Prepare yourself for the oldest and richest sprint race where the country's fastest horses compete over 1,200 meters for over 3 million rand in prize money. Join us at Scottsville Racecourse on the 23rd of May for this year's Tsogo Sun Sprint.